go.
Oh.
The Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations present...
Oh, a microphony.
And a phony at the mic.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
I love the Three Stooges.
They're awesome.
I heard, welcome to the show, everybody. Good morning. If you're Christian, Catholic, whatever, God bless you, and he has risen. So I missed the sunrise, services, but there's more to the day. Anyway, yeah, so guys, Three Stooges. I just found out the other day that apparently next January is they have the public domain day or whatever it is, and
right.
Apparently they're going to go public domain. Now,
Really?
I think my thing is this the original when they were with Ted Healy? Because that was like the late 20s, early 30s. They got a contract with Columbia Pictures, I think, in the mid 1930s, and that's when they separated from Ted Healy. And then they had a Columbia contract all the way through the 1950s. And, and then you had the iterations that, Curly couldn't do anymore because of the stroke. And then they had Shimp come in, Brother Shimp. He had a heart attack. And then they got Joe Besser. And then when they went to the movies, they hooked up with Joe DeRita. And but yeah, they're going public domain. So I don't know which era it's going to be, because I'm sure Columbia is not going to give up their rights to them. It's probably pre that. So probably like the vaudeville stuff.
Get ready for indie comic creators to make a spinoff of the Three Stooges.
And I think they'll do it really well too.
Yeah.
I think they will.
They'll give them guns and shit. They'll have them be like three Stooges bank robbers or terrorists or something.
Here's a mashup. Let me show you this. This is a shirt. I've had this thing for about 8 years.
Oh, wow.
Mashup of Duck Dynasty. And the Three Stooges called Duck Dynasty.
That's funny.
I don't know where my wife got this for me, but she got me a crap ton of these types of shirts where it's mashups.
Mm-hmm.
And the Three Stooges, I have another one where it's called Stooge Trek.
That's
and
cool.
It's them dressed up as an away team. It's pretty funny.
Wow.
Good morning, everybody. I've got Kurt here from AECENTRIC Comics, and we're going to talk a little bit about, the main theme of it is there a civil war in independent comics? And so I have a foremost authority on independent comics.
Not really. Not at all. I'm a watcher, man. I gather info. That's all. I just gather info. I don't get involved at all. So.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'm a consumer. I've got my original comics from when I was a kid back in the 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one I did back a comic a couple years ago, and so but I haven't backed anything recently. Yeah. But I've just been noticing this just schism, if you want to call it that, between two camps in the indie comics realm that are now powerhouses in their own right. And I mean powerhouses in that they made a lot of money.
Both
have made a shit ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
They've got their own IPs and they've done well. Obviously, they've made a shit ton of money, so they're doing well. But all of a sudden, over the last, I don't know how many years, I've noticed this schism, tit for tat. I'm going to one up you on this, and you said this, and he said that, and da-da-da-da. And, go ahead and tell your what you've seen and everything. So
it's really complicated, and I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible. Give it like the Cliff Notes version. And again, I'm not an expert. I've only been watching this whole indie comics community for about 3 strong years, maybe 4. but at first I was I didn't really understand what was going on. Anyways, the comics. Okay, first of all, there's two main groups, armies, whatever you call it. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's indie comics as a whole. Okay.
Right.
Well, actually, let's take a further step back. There's comics, which is, you think of immediately DC and Marvel and Image and Dark Horse. So they kind of call that mainstream. That's the professionals. They are the professionals, are the ones that everyone knows about and stuff. And Comicscape, from what I understand, and if I'm wrong, and please someone correct me, but from what I've seen and heard and listened and all the info I've gathered is, a few years ago when the woke movement was huge and controlling, and SJWs were in everything. You know what I mean? That whole movement.
Yeah.
They basically saturated Marvel and DC, and then basically more or less conservative employees, artists, whoever, started to kind of get nuzzled out, so to speak, or a little bit of pressure on them so they would leave. It was just
right.
Clear what was going on. The wokies were fucking taking over, and they didn't want Trump supporters, conservatives, whatever.
Yeah, and it spanned not just comics; it was in all forms of entertainment.
I noticed it first in 2010. I noticed it first in Hollywood. I was still in Vegas because I lived in Vegas for years. And I started to get sick of the movies. Like I would see movies all the fucking time. You know what I mean? Opening nights and all this shit. The first half of my life was nothing but film because I wanted to be involved in film. I wanted to fucking make movies and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So around 2010, I started to notice that Hollywood films started to suck. They just were so predictable. They were all the same, So I started to actually, I discovered cable TV. There was this show called Nip Tuck, which was on AMC.
I remember that show. Yeah.
It blew me the fuck away. It's Monday night, 9:00, and I'm seeing graphic sex and blood and violence and orgies. And I'm just like, I kept checking the channel. Like, what the fuck channel is this? AMC. Monday night at 9:00. And I'm just like, the fuck is going? This is amazing. So I got hooked on Nip Tuck. And then I started to notice all these other cable shows like NCIS, those crime dramas, Las Vegas. What was that Las Vegas one? Remember Las Vegas? Crime
NCIS. NCIS. Oh, no, it was CSI Las Vegas.
That's it. That was the next one. I got hooked on that because dead hookers in a fucking alley and they're all mutilated. I mean, it was just like, plus I lived in Vegas and CSI Las Vegas, they filmed on location. So there was a couple episodes where I'm like, that's my apartment, I work, So all this cable shit started to be amazing, original, unpredictable, and all this shit. Yeah. And Hollywood films kind of, then as time went on, I basically stopped going to see movies in the theater, and I just focused on cable. Like The Walking Dead was huge, and The Witchers, all these awesome cable shows. So then once we're in this whole woke era, because it really was an era, it was a decade, it was 10 years. It's if you fucking Google like the woke era or whatever, it's already documented. And they said it became public in 2014. So it was in the works back before it. See what I'm saying? And now it's 2025, and they're saying, oh, it's ending and all this shit. So that's 10 years. That's 2014 to 2024. See what I'm saying? That's a decade. That is a little era, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So during all of that, they completely saturated Hollywood, as everyone can see and know. Everyone knows. It's just a fact, And fucking sports, the pink socks, football shit, and all that crap. I mean, I'm not even in sports, but I would see people bitching about this crap, and I'm like, what are they doing? You're big jocks, and you're wearing pink fucking what? Okay, so and sports, and then the military, the government, everywhere. They, like you said, they got in everything, man.
They got into everything. Yeah.
And so, including comics, and that was the weirdest to me because when you think of comics, man, it's like it's kind of the bottom of the entertainment spectrum. The only thing I would say like underneath comics is like card games. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, Pokemon or Magic the Gathering. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
And even those are multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar industries.
They are.
But
and then they were affected too.
What do you call? Oh yeah, of course they were. What Dungeons and Dragons, dude? I fucking played D&D.
Yeah,
that was the final straw for me. When I saw D&D was going woke, I'm just like, this is insane. This is fucking insane. So back to comics. So we're not talking motion pictures or television or stuff. We're talking about fucking comics. You know what I mean? Right. But when that became woke and shit, is what happened is this movement came about where conservative creators started their own group, and it was called Comicsgate. And even there's arguments on who came up with the name. I don't fucking know that shit, but it's like whatever. Well, what basically happened is there were people, Ethan, as you know, Ethan Van Skyver. Yep. He is known as the leader of Comicsgate. I consider him a leader of Comicsgate. I mean, when you think he's the guy. Plus, he trademarked the name Comicsgate. That's his legally. Yeah.
And so, but Ethan Van Skyver basically was the pathfinder for indie comics because
he actually
wasn't one of the. Oh, he wasn't?
I thought he was too. Everyone thinks he is, but
I thought he was.
Dude, it's a complicated history because this goes back 7 or 8 years. This was like back in 2018 and shit. Yeah. And so exactly. There was a couple guys, and I don't even know their names, couple guys before him that kind of came together and started the movement. But then Ethan got the most publicity because, and again, this is according to Ethan, and his haters will say he's lying, he sucked, and they want to get rid of him at Marvel or whatever. And so, who do you believe? I don't fucking know. But Ethan has explained it enough where, according to Ethan, he basically got blacklisted from Marvel and DC. You know what I mean? Because he was a Trump supporter, he publicly declared he voted for Trump. And he said when he did that at work, he said it was like this silence went through the whole fucking department. Everyone looked at him like with disgust. And he's like, and he said he was clueless. He had no idea what was going on. He's like, who cares? It's just who I voted for. You know what I mean? Long story short, he basically gets elbowed out and all this crap. And he's in trouble financially and everything because he's got a family and all this stuff. And so I think it got the most publicity because I think there was like articles written and interviews and all this shit. And like they're calling him a Nazi and all this crap, So I think he became a very like public figure in this whole like ordeal, this thing, right? So he gets with these guys who started this movement, this Comicsgate movement, and there you are. So he's involved, and then so many people come and go. I can't even keep up with it, dude. It's like people come in, and then there's fights, and then they leave, and all. It's just it's a mess. It's very confusing. But this whole time, Ethan's been there, and I think he is basically, whether he was placed by the others or put himself in there or a bit of both. He's the head of Comicsgate. Everyone knows it, and he's like I said, copyrighted the name Comicsgate, and he's made the most money, and he fights the most. He has the most haters, and he fights them. And that's entertaining to watch. He's an entertainer, man, and he is fun to watch. But so many people hate him. It's crazy.
Yeah, you have to admit though, insofar as like his success with his IP, Cyberfrog.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like, well, now correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't he one of the first ones to hit over $1 million on Indiegogo or something like that? As far as a comic book.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's what shot him above, and that's probably why I was thinking that he was like the trailblazer or whatever you want to call it.
I mean, he kind of is. I consider him that, but he kind of. I think he's an interesting guy. It's like 1 minute he's like very egotistical, narcissistic, and then the next minute he's very modest and humble. It's weird. And
it is. I've watched some of his streams. It's pretty entertaining.
Keeps you guessing. It keeps you guessing, dude. You know what I mean?
And then when he gets mad, he just completely loses his shit.
Yeah. So he says he kind of doesn't. He kind of modestly says, "No, I didn't start this whole thing, and I am not the head." But he is. Whether he should just admit it and just accept the fact. Yes, I'm the head of Comicsgate, and that's that. There you go. But whatever. That's it's his thing, man. So, anyways, there's Comicsgate. Okay, so their main purpose, from what I understood, and this is when I first saw them, I noticed. They were fighting the SJWs, the social justice warriors, the wokies, the whatever you want to call it, the woke movement.
Right.
That was the enemy. Was Marvel, DC, mainstream comics, because the wokies took it over. And there's independents who are doing independent comics who are woke as well. It was this clear, defined enemy. It was like if you look at World War II, you know who the enemy was in World War II because of the uniforms, right?
Yeah.
Then you got Vietnam, and we're kind of in the Vietnam era because in Vietnam, you didn't know who the fuck the enemy was.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Little kids are coming up, blowing you up. So that's kind of, if you look at it almost from like a war perspective, you can understand it better. So back then, when it was just fighting the SJWs, it was very clear and defined. And yes, it was. They were welcoming independent creators of all types, as long as you agreed with their movement, you were their kind of person. But to me, I saw it as they were welcoming everyone like they were recruiting. They're growing their numbers, as they should, as anyone should. But then, of course, as time goes on, and this is where I started to go, what is wrong with these fucking people? Is because of jealousy or insecurities or whatever the hell the reason, these indie creators, kind of start backstabbing each other, fucking each other, whatever. This internal fight shit, right?
Yeah.
And then, some of them, according to Ethan, just flat out stab them in the back. And then, there's proof, there's tweets and all this other shit where these creators that he fucking helps them. He takes the time to help them, has them on his show, promotes them, and they make tons of money. Dude, their campaigns skyrocket,
And exactly. And not just other comic creators, other YouTubers who are not not creators at all outside of their own niche on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I actually saw a video early last year of someone just basically, stabbing him in the back for no reason other than possibly they were drunk. I don't know, because
it's weird.
And it's crazy.
But from what I've seen is he basically, I call it the Midas touch. Dude, anything Ethan, love him or hate him, whatever issue you got, the fact is this guy knows business, and he knows how to entertain, and he knows how to make money, and he knows how to promote. Across the board, 10 fucking stars. You just can't deny it, okay? So anyone who would get promoted by Ethan was always a success, like a lot more than if they were doing it alone. Like, say, for example, me, I'm doing it alone. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just getting by. If someone like Ethan were to spotlight me, chances are I'd make a lot more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now you're dealing with competition. So all these small creators want in on Ethan, his attention. Ethan noticed me and want to be on his show because it's money. They're going to make more and they're going to promote. Okay, that's what everyone wants, right? Well, so when they fuck him over, that was what I don't understand. It's like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
This guy alone, not 20 people, this fucking guy put you on his show, promoted you. His backers who buy his product, his stuff, Cyberfraud, they're like, okay, well, if Ethan thinks this guy's cool, this stuff looks pretty cool. Yeah, I'll fucking buy his shit. And when you have hundreds of people that do that, you're you fucking skyrocket. Okay.
Yeah, it gets big.
But then and this is the reasons I don't know, and this is where shit gets shady because it's DMs or back, God knows what. But for some fucking reason, some of these people that Ethan's like done this, helped and promoted, suddenly betray him, stab him. I don't understand it. It's like they should be eternally grateful. I mean, it's like a Hollywood thing, you know?
Yeah.
The director that hires you for the first time, that discovers you got to be loyal to them for the rest of your fucking life. And I know Hollywood's fucked up, but it's just almost like it's like just common sense. It's like I don't know. It's like if one person discovers you and gets you out there, and then you continue to be successful, you should owe them a lot. At the very minimum respect. I'm not saying you got to kiss their ass and wash their car on the fucking weekend. You know what I mean? But
right.
you should at least respect them and credit them. Say, hey, you know, this guy is the reason why I'm doing better. But and that happens sometimes. Obviously, there are people that do that. But the ones that don't do that are the ones that's where I get confused. I'm like, I don't understand what's going on here. And then, you know, whatever. And but
the ironic thing about this whole Civil War schism, whatever you want to do, you know, battle of egos, is that back when Ethan actually was promoting, he talked him up, was Eric July.
Right.
He talked him up. But when he found out he was doing a comic and everything like that, this is before the comic was released, but he did talk him up. And the videos that I personally saw of EVS actually talking about July was they were positive, okay? Yeah. And he was supportive. And then, you know, obviously Eric July was not a nobody. I mean, he'd already had a track record. He came from the Blaze TV. He had a following there. He was a rapper. He was a musician, rapper. He had following there. Then he had his own podcast and YouTube stuff. And so he had a following there. So he's got a big back of followers that obviously supported him when he came up with his IP and doing his thing. And it took off. It took off like wildfire. It took off.
Yeah.
And you know, from the outsider looking in, okay, you're an insider. I'm an outsider. I'm a consumer. I'm an outer rim. You're the outer rim, right?
I'm like
the outer limits.
I'm on a hill sitting under a tree watching the battle, and I can smell the smoke, but I'm not involved in that battle. That's kind of how I am.
Right. And so as a consumer, I'm looking at, you know, different things. And now, for the record, I have not purchased anything from either Eric July or from EVS. I have no monetary anything with them.
Right.
I have no books, no swag, no nothing. I do follow them on Twitter or X, and I do follow them on YouTube, and I have been for years. But that's about the extent of my involvement in their stuff.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because as soon as, you know, everything was kind of hunky-dory for a while, the smooth waters, and then out of nowhere, whatever the hell was the catalyst, shit just erupted like Mount St. Helens all of a fucking sudden.
It changed on us. I believe it was a Sunday morning, because I remember that too. And that's where what I was talking about, let's move to the next chapter, which is we're leaving World War II and we're going to Vietnam now, right? And this is like the Vietnam era, right? So, Comicsgate, doing great, getting more people. Ethan's having some internal issues. You know, people are, you know, the Comicsgate having some internal, but overall it's fucking strong, you know? And they're kicking ass. And these campaigns are making tons of money. Everything's cool. Yeah. Right.
And I remember, I don't mean to interrupt, but I remember EVS was calling out people who were still working for either DC or Marvel, who were had fat egos as well. And he was trying, you know, he was calling them out for a lot of the BS that they were, promoting insofar as like on Twitter or whatever, and bad mouthing Ethan. But these were people that he'd worked with, he knew at DC or Marvel, and they still worked for them.
Yeah,
it's great.
And again, I mean, people, you could write books about this because you're dealing with this big industry with a lot of people involved, a lot of different types of people, from writers to editors to artists to all this stuff. And then everyone, has egos or whatever. And now you've got the independent comic movement, and they're clashing with the mainstream. And so it's so confusing. It's really hard to keep track because there's no like history book. You can't be like, oh, let me look at the history of Comicsgate versus mainstream. Someone's got to do it, man. If they haven't already, they need to do it because it's crazy. You got to break this shit out and make it easy to understand. Right, so anyways, so Comicsgate's doing their thing, and the mainstream's doing their thing, and it's the height of the woke crap, and so the battle's raging and all this shit. And then what happens is this whole Eric July shit. And so again, Eric July, was and is a YouTuber and a rapper and all this other shit. That's his thing. He's not an artist. He's not a writer. He's a fucking YouTuber and a rapper, and he talks and all that. Right? He was, at the time, he seemed like he was against the woke culture because he was fighting them, and that's how he
absolutely
gained popularity. He was like a fucking culture warrior fighting the fucking woke.
Exactly.
Okay, so he was, again, like, he wasn't Comicsgate, but he was an ally. And Ethan and everyone was like, yeah, this dude's cool as shit. He's kicking ass, and look who he's pissing off. So Eric July in a parallel but different arena is fighting the wokies and SJWs too, just like Comicsgate is, right? And so they were cool, man. Everyone was cool with each other. Everyone. Until Eric July announces he's getting into comics, independent comics and shit. And then it was like, okay, well, cool. That's cool. I think it was kind of a surprise to some people because you're like, what? You're a YouTuber.
I think
rapper.
I was surprised at the time when I heard about it as well.
Yeah, and he was full force. He's like, I want to do this all my life. And as a kid, and I read comics and blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. And so again, I'm saying, hey, fucking cool, another powerful, person to fight the fucking war, right? So he comes in and does it, and fucking drop the bomb drops. It's fucking crazy what he did in like a fucking day, millions of fucking dollars. Yeah. So it was like this victory. Holy shit, right?
Yeah, I remember it was nuts.
And
then
so
he had to battle with fucking PayPal and all that shit where they didn't want to pay him out.
Yeah.
And they were holding on to his fucking money and shit. And I remember that bullshit going on. Yeah. And I remember fighting with that. So,
but it was
nuts.
And also, Ethan and other big comic skaters did covers for Eric July's books. They did covers, and Eric, it was a contract, he paid him and all this shit. So Comicsgate was helping promote Eric, period. So, but Eric was strong enough. He didn't necessarily need their support, but it was a big fucking help because this is the whole two army thing. You have this king and this army from this land, and you've got this king and this army at this land, right? So when they come together, you're like, holy shit, we just doubled our forces and our power. This is fucking great. You know what I mean? And, King Ethan and his troops were supporting Eric and shit. And again, it was fucking cool at first. And then, of course, this is when things get complicated. This is where it's the two sides. Well, this guy said this happened. This guy says this happened. And everyone in between, of course, the Comicsgate people are going to take Ethan's side, and then people who are into Eric July is going to take his side. And so that's what happened is, for whatever reason, and Eric and both Eric and Ethan have both said their version of what happened. And the truth is always somewhere in the middle, man. You know what I mean? It's always, it's a little bit of both. Okay. But whatever. But all of a sudden, I think it was a Sunday morning. It was like, there was this fallout. It just happened where Ethan basically said, I'm done. I'm out. I don't want to deal with Eric anymore. That kind of thing. And I think he dropped Eric July's DMs. It could have been later, but it may have been that Sunday morning. Like Ethan was saying, why? He wasn't just like, I'm not going to be involved anymore, and that's it. He was like, these are my reasons and justification for not backing Eric July anymore. And then he gave all of his reasons. Okay. And so now, and when I and when I saw this happen that Sunday morning, I'm like, it's fucked now. Yeah, it's fucked. These are the two kings. This king is denouncing this king.
Yeah.
What do you think's going to happen? Yeah. These troops are going to fucking side with him. These troops, it's
And then here's another thing too, is at that moment in time now, before all that. See, I started, just a brief cliff notes here. I started a YouTube account so that I could find out information from gun channels. I was kind of into this like in 2017. Actually, I started in 2014, 2015. I started watching a lot of gun channels. Then the gun channels evolved into survival channels because recommended. And then all of a sudden, I was surfing through and I found a channel. They were talking about Doctor Who. And now I was a Doctor Who fan because we watched all the new Who and stuff at that time. And so I started watching them. And that happened to be Nerdrotic. So I started following Nerdrotic. And then all of a sudden, it just kind of branched out at every single person on his panel. I started following them on YouTube. And then I got onto Twitter only because they would always talk about, so-and-so did this on Twitter, and they all had fucking Twitter accounts. Yeah. So I got a Twitter account to follow these guys. Not really interact, but just to follow, to see what they're talking about, what's going on. Yeah. And, but anyway, so that led to me watching all their channels. So all of a sudden they bring on people like EVS. He's talking about all his stuff with Cyberfox. So EVS is on with, the Friday Night Tights and etc. And then one thing leads to another, and EVS is on with Az and EVS, all this other stuff. He goes all these different people. Then all of a sudden, this is about the time I think when this schism started. Years later, Ethan makes a comment on his stream about grifters. I don't recall him specifically saying any person's name or channel or anything. Just he made a comment on, he was going over reviewing, because he'll review somebody's show, right? Yeah. And it happened to be an FNT. And he mentioned something about grifters. Gary's surrounded by a lot of grifters. Or something to that effect.
I think zeros. Did he call them zeros?
Zeros.
I think call them zeros.
Either zeros or grifters, one of the two.
Yeah, something offensive to them. They got all fucking offended by it.
And that just the fucking nuclear bomb just went off.
Right.
And everybody started freaking out. And it was just, and then the one person that I truly remember who really got, like, they took it completely 100% personal was Az.
Right.
And I'm like, holy fuck. But all of a sudden, and then in the, in coming weeks and stuff like that, all of a sudden, all these people are wearing Ripaverse this and Ripaverse that, and ISOM and hats and shirts and the whole 9 yards. So, and that's great. You want to support somebody, be my guest. Awesome. No big fucking deal to me. It's just, they had this, someone says something slightly off, or maybe they say it out of just being frustrated and whatever the case may be. But it just becomes a fucking nuclear bomb. Yeah. And now you have this division. Yeah. And it's like, what the fuck is going on in the world?
It's the internet. First of all, it's the fucking internet. And then second, it's fucking YouTube, Yep. And I had a thought one time, because it wouldn't surprise me. I don't think it's true. Unfortunately, I don't think it's true. But I thought, I'm like, what if? Like, I wouldn't put it past anybody if it was all fake, all the arguments. Like, what if long time ago Ethan and Eric July got together and say, hey, we're going to do some fucked up shit and it's going to garner attention and we're going to make money. Let's act like we are fighting. And here's and they figured it all out and it's all fake. I'm like,
hello, Andy Kaufman and Jerry Lawler. Hello.
Yeah,
Holy shit. But
wouldn't that be nuts?
You're not the only one because I don't know who started it, but somebody on Twitter did bring that up. And there was a big ass long thread about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because I would see tweets from EBS and then rebuttals from Ripa and back and forth and this and that. And it's like, holy fuck, this can't be real. Is this fucking like what the hell is going on here?
Unfortunately it is. I wish it wasn't. God, it would be like the heist of the fucking century.
Oh, tell me
about it. Came out where this was all just a play, man.
Session.
Oh, fuck, that'd be crazy.
But the funny thing, even if it's not, they're all still making a shit ton of money off of it.
Yeah. Well, and again, Ethan has been doing this trash cast stream.
I see. Oh my god, those are insane.
It's entertaining. I don't watch them. It is. But it's the fuckers make, and he says, dude, I make more money live streaming than any other live. His trash cast is what his viewers want. It makes some money, and so of course he's gonna fucking do it. Well, if that's
God bless them for making money, either one of them.
That's
make all the fucking money they can physically make. That's great.
I get it. It's like if you're moral or whatever. Oh, this isn't right. I shouldn't stoke the fire and make things harder. But if you're gonna be on YouTube, it's almost like you can't be moral. You can't. You know what I mean?
It's tough.
It's weird.
It's not only that, but YouTube, it's like we discussed this last night. I don't know if you watched our stream last night, but YouTube they suppress live streams now, especially from small people.
Really?
Because when you look at our show that we have on the Saturday night Cryptids and Conspiracies, now it's a joint effort between Bunny and myself.
Right.
But Bunny does most of the heavy lifting. And when we first started a year ago, our average views were, we'd have a much livelier chat as far as, people interacting with different people, with more eyes on us at that time. And then after the stream was over and then the subsequent days, we would still have more views, and the watch times would be longer. But then all of a sudden, it just started going, holy shit. And YouTube is doing something that is really unfortunate, and it's suppressing a lot of stuff. But the big guys, these big YouTubers, it doesn't matter if it's EBS or Eric July or whoever, doesn't matter what, could be the fucking Jimmy DiResta, who knows, he does lives occasionally too. But they all have a large following. They have a shit ton of followers, subscribers, and these people. And also notice that YouTube also suppresses notifications. So a lot of people don't get notified. So it's basically math. The more people you have following you, the more likely it is you're going to have a lot of people that are going to tune in.
Yeah.
And
the more money YouTube makes off of you. And that's the fucking key, dude. It's all about money. I don't give a shit what fucking area of life you are in. I don't care what fucking arena, if it's politics or film or comics or fucking whatever. Follow the fucking money trail. It's always about the money. And again,
it is.
Why should you think comics are different? No, dude, it's about the fucking money, And there are some people, some creators who have, principle minded. They have principles. I kind of think I'm one of these principle guys. I'm like, well, the important thing is the story the message I'm giving. You know what I mean? Like if I wanted to make a ton of money, I wouldn't be in this fucking profession at all. A politician. You remember the last time, so I'd be a fucking politician.
There you go. Yeah, with all that USAID money.
But it's like I've got this fucking complicated story to tell. I love it. It's cool as shit, and I want to fucking tell it. And this is the only way I can do it right now. Is this way. I can't
Yeah.
make a Hollywood film or Netflix.
Right.
It's like, no, okay, so I'm fucking doing it. So I have my principles are kind of equivalent to the making money thing. And some people would say, well, then you're going to be a failure if you don't put the money first. Okay, well, cool, I'm a failure, but I'm still going to fucking do it. I'm going to do it no matter what. I'm just going to keep fucking working on this shit. And if there's 10, 20, 30, 50 people that like it, well, fucking cool. That's cool with me. I'm not trying to be the next Eric July or Ethan Van Sciver and make millions and shit. It's like, dude, I just want to I'm having fun with this fucking story and it keeps going and I'm just going to keep doing it. And that's that.
There you go.
But there are people who are, it's all about the money. That's their main concern is the money.
Right,
and again,
right.
I get it. It's a business. Anyone who thinks comics is just fun, no, man, it's a business. You're dealing with sales and taxes and revenue and profit and all this fucking bullshit. And yeah, it's a business, but it's that different strokes for different folks. You know what I mean? It's like some people kind of, it's more about the art and story and stuff. And other people like, no, it's about the money and the amount of people, whatever the fuck it is. But that's kind of how people operate in this indie comics area. And again, Ethan and Eric are both they're big leagues, man. They're the
big dogs. They're the big dogs right now.
They both have made millions, and that's that. You got someone in here.
In the chat, we got Decepticons Cave of Collectibles. Hello. Thank you for being here. He says, I did a preview of Death Planet by Bad Idea on my channel. It comes out April 30th. Cool. And then we have Papa Cotton Ministries in the chat. Hello. Thank you for being here, my friend. Appreciate it. It's and that's the thing. Now, here's the thing. Now, when I remember when Eric July was getting ready to do his comics and stuff like that. And I do remember the story that, hey, he took a second mortgage out on his home to help fund the printing and everything else before he even went to get backing. Now, and now from the perspective of fulfillment, okay, you're ready to fulfill almost immediately after you've hit your goals. Okay, and I understand that from a business point of view, that would be in the realm of satisfying customers,
right?
Because in the past, these funding campaigns, they take a little while, and then after they're funded, then the comic creators then pay for the printers and all this other stuff after that, because now they've hit their money, they can do what they need to do because they don't have a lot of financial backing in the beginning.
Right.
And so then it's like in some cases, it's another year or longer before the customer actually gets the physical product. Eric July set out his goal to, hey, let's do this. I have the ability to fund this now.
Right.
We'll do the campaign. We'll get it. We'll start getting the orders in through the campaign and take that money and reseed the investment, because he's already invested by way of I guess it was a second mortgage, for sure. But he did something that had to do with his house. So he took that money, printed all this stuff, got everything ready to go. The comics, the merch, the swag, all this stuff was done before the campaign ever got halfway through. Then once the campaign was closed, then boom, everybody got their stuff that, funded it. And, which that's a smart way of doing business if you have the means to do it.
Right.
And unfortunately, the smaller creators, such as yourself and other people that I know, they don't have that advantage of having that there at their disposal. You have to go through the whole motions of getting that, getting your goals met on your campaign and having it fund. And then also, because of Comicsgate or all these things are going on with the woke stuff, now EVS went through Indiegogo.
Right.
Okay. He was talking up Indiegogo. This is prior to Eric July doing his thing. Yeah. So he went through all of that. Then all of a sudden we started hearing stories from other comic book creators. Once EVS hit his success and he was making millions in the whole 9 yards, Indiegogo got all political.
Right.
And I know Kickstarter was too. Kickstarter was before that. They were getting political. But what we started hearing stories about were independent comic creators who were just, there's nothing real political about what they had created.
Right.
But all of a sudden they started getting their campaigns canceled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there was one story, I remember, it was a female, and she had a comic that she was kind of doing, she gambled, basically. She was gambling. So she took what money she had, and she already set up the financing for the printers. Okay. And she was relying on the fact that she was going to get all recouped through the backers on the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
What happened, what I was told and what I was reading, and this is from a couple different sources, but again, this is a combination of Twitter and YouTube, and this is over a year and a half ago or so, maybe 2 years. What happened was Indiegogo, but pretty sure it was Indiegogo, at the end of this girl's campaign, just before it ended the time frame, she already got the backing, but the time frame, they cut it off. They cut her off.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
And they sent all the fucking money back.
Yeah, that sucks. Ugh.
And then she got fucked because here she is. She's already invested in the printers and everything else for her campaign, and they fucking stabbed her in the back. Now that's bullshit. Yeah. And that was one of the reasons why you have the creation of
Fund My Comic.
Yeah. Was because of shit like that these platforms like Kickstarter, Indiegogo were doing to these creators. Mm-hmm. Just, or after that, they would do things where it was so difficult. You couldn't just like go on their site and type in, I want to see such and such's book. You couldn't find it.
Shadow banning. Yeah.
Yeah. They'd shadow ban the shit out of them. And then, so what the creator had to do was if someone was interested, they'd have to send them the fucking link right to the campaign. Yeah. And so you've still got shadow banning going on. Yeah. With Indiegogo and also Kickstarter. Yeah. But then come to find out, outfits like Kickstarter or Indiegogo and Kickstarter wanted to get the 7-figure campaigns, i.e. technology startups, where they're going to get the $1 million plus figures because they get a percentage. Right. And so they didn't want the 100,000, the 150,000, the 200,000, or the 50,000 campaigns. They wanted that $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, $20 million, funding campaign for whoever's technology. Yeah. And again, having some resource like FMC to come along and to help specifically targeting that market of creators for comics, novels, magazine type stuff, all that stuff. Yeah, that's where you're going to go, and you're going to get a better deal as far as percentage of the cut and everything else like that. Yeah, and it's just it's crazy though. Hear those stories, those horror stories of people getting their campaigns, fucking deep sixed. It's nuts. Yeah.
Well, I researched crowdfunding, the platforms, and Kickstarter's the oldest. Kickstarter's been around a long time. Yep. The I believe the original crowdfunder is that GoFundMe. You've heard of GoFundMe, right?
Yeah, GoFundMe. Yep.
I think they were the first crowdfunding platform. Kickstarter was soon after. So Kickstarter's the oldest, which means they're the biggest. They have the biggest audience. Yes. But they have shown through Twitter, as in finding the accounts of the individual in charge of comics on Kickstarter. The person who, that's their department, right? And they're woke as fuck. And I mean, they don't hide it.
I think there was a lot of people started talking about that and was spreading that information around. Wasn't it a gal, some girl, lady?
It was, no, the one I saw was about 2 years ago, and it was a guy. And he was at anti-Trump protests in his feed. He had pictures.
Okay.
He was fucking blatantly woke, and that was the guy.
Maybe it was Indiegogo. I was thinking, but it was a female who was in charge of that division or a division that did that, and she again was not very friendly to normal folks. And
that's the problem. Is so basically Kickstarter, like for sure, because here's this guy's account and it's current and he's tweeting, he's at anti-Trump rallies, fuck Trump kind of crap. This is the guy who's going to see your proposed campaign and decide if you are in or not. You know what I mean? So I'm like, fuck Kickstarter. I'm like, I ain't no way. You know what I mean? Yep. And then Indiegogo's interesting because again, it's big because it's been around for years. But it hasn't been around as long as Kickstarter, and it's not as big as Kickstarter, but it's pretty big. And all the head dudes, Ethan, they all use Indiegogo and they all praise it. They're making six-figure campaigns. Ethan's making millions. But there's the shadow banning. There's incidents like you're talking about where campaigns get shut down, all this kind of stuff. Okay. But it's like actions speak louder than words. All the top indie comic creators, what do they use? They use Indiegogo, man. Yeah. Period. Right. Yep. So Fund My Comic, 2 years? I think it was 2 years ago came along. Two and a half, maybe. 2023, I believe. Yeah. Fairly recently. Yeah. And again, they're small, man. They got a handful of people. And they've got and as being small, they do have growing pains. But again, of course, they're growing. Yeah, they're growing. So that's the important thing. They come about, and it's this it's this hope. It's like, oh my God, here's an unbiased crowdfunding platform. Awesome, but it's at its infancy, Yeah. So of course you're not going to make much on your campaigns because no one fucking knows about it. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. But that was the first one I used because I'm like a ghost. I'm a nobody. My book is fucking weird compared to what's popular. There's no superheroes. It's just everything's different. Yeah. It's different, and people fear or whatever, don't like what they don't understand or something that's a little. So I'm like, basically, I'm not going to be able to raise shit. And the problem with Indiegogo is if you don't meet your goal and your campaign gets shut down, it's hard to get you can't jump right back and get another campaign. From how I understand it, I don't fucking know, but from what I read and heard, if you fail your campaign, it's kind of hard to do it again because they're like, you know what I mean? So I basically was like, okay, to be safe, my first campaign is going to be on Fund My Comic. And because I was posting shit on Twitter saying, oh, Between Demons and Angels is going to be on Indiegogo. Oh, I remember. Yeah. I was all planning it. And I have videos still saying Indiegogo this summer or whatever. It was this last month or so where I was just like, you know what? I don't trust this. I got to go Fund My Comic. I'm glad I did because, again, I didn't raise much. It was like $1,300, right? Most people would see that as a failure. For me, it was a success because I only needed I think my goal was 300 or 500. It wasn't shit because my book was done. It was already fucking done. You know what I mean? So it was a success for me on a small scale, and it was cool. And then the second book, again, I was like, well, should I do Indiegogo? Basically, I just got cold feet. I got scared and said, I'll stick with Fund My Comic. Fuck it. And again, it did about the same amount. So the problem is Fund My Comic, how all the good stuff, it's a smaller platform. So if you're a creator, you are not going to make the same numbers on Fund My Comic as you are on Indiegogo or Kickstarter. And that's not an insult. That's not a dig. It's just a fact. And Fund My Comic, they know this. But they're growing and people are starting to come on board. The one dude, fucking Cecil. Yeah. Indiegogo, dude, not only did they literally canceled his account. He's done. He cannot use Indiegogo at all. So Indiegogo basically said, fuck you, get off our platform. Yeah. And they killed his campaign and his account. He can never go there again. So he went to Fund My Comic and said, well, fuck, I'll just do it here. And he is. And dude, he's like at 77,000 or something.
Wow.
That's pretty fucking good, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there are people going to Fund My Comic. It's just, you're talking 2.5 years, and you're at this point where some bigger creators are starting to use it, but it's still not where Indiegogo is or Kickstarter. So for me, this third book I'm doing, this black and white book I'm doing, I'm like, okay, I have to do Indiegogo. I gotta figure out for myself if I can make more money on Indiegogo or not. I don't fucking know. So I'm like, I'm gonna fucking try it. So I'm gonna do Indiegogo with my third campaign and see how it goes. Hopefully it'll go well. If it does make more money, like noticeably more, then I'm like, okay, well, Indiegogo, it helps to back that because they have, you know what I mean? If it doesn't, then I'm like, well, maybe my shit sucks. I don't know. Maybe people aren't into it, or maybe it's not a platform thing. But I'll find out. But I am paranoid that someone reviewing it is going to think whatever and close it. And because it's happened before. And so I'm trying to be really careful as like, there's that balance of, I don't want to go over the top and offend everybody, but yet at the same time, I don't want to, be a coward and say, well, I shouldn't do this or show this because, you know what I'm saying? You have that balance of like, okay, overall, everything's pretty cool. I don't think anyone's going to have a problem with it, but you never know. And that's the paranoia, because it's like, what if someone has a problem with like this particular drawing or this particular whatever? They could fucking say, sorry, it doesn't fit our criteria. And then I'm like, well, now I have to do Fund My Comic.
You violated our terms of service.
It's weird. Bullshit. It's a weird business. It's a weird situation. So again, you just fucking do it and you roll with the fucking dice, man. What happens, happens. Yeah. And so that's what I'm going to do with this upcoming one. But it's the whole thing, the indie comic community, crowdfunding, it really is just kind of weird, dude. It's complicated. It's not this cut and dried, easy situation at all.
Let me read these couple out here from Ministries. Cotton in the chat says, I've only backed one book ever a few years ago. Still waiting on the book. Yeah. He says, I got ripped off for $50. I've got an investment and I still haven't received the book either. Yeah. It's about a little bit more than that, but I know why, and that's because the artist who was actually doing the book has had some personal issues, so it's almost complete. But it's a good thing. I know the creator. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that's something that kind of keeps resurfacing, that particular problem of late books, unfulfilled campaigns, and that is a real fucking problem because that makes everyone looks bad. Exactly. And that's why, like, fuckers like me, who no one knows, who's a ghost, who is doing something completely different from everyone else, that they're like, what the fuck is this about?
Yep.
They may say, is this guy a scammer? Is he just going to take our money and run? You know what I mean? So fuckers like that don't fulfill the campaigns or are 3, 4, 5, 6 years late. Dude, they hurt everybody. And that's not fucking cool. And so again, I try to, my first campaign I fulfilled. The second one, constant updates, man. Here's the latest picture. Here's the latest this. It's just communicate. That's all. If you disappear for 6 months, that's where the backers are like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Did he take our money and run? Yeah. If you post every day or every other day or whatever and give updates, they're like, no, this fucker's working. He's trying to finish this book. And so that's what I'm trying to do. You know what I mean? But that is a huge problem. Yeah, you're right, man. The who said I got ripped off $50, Cotton. Yeah, you're not alone. There's a lot of people that's happened to. It sucks.
Cotton also says that he's heard the same excuse from people he's waiting on too. So I do know that there were a couple of people who were artists, I think some people out of Canada, but also there was one gentleman that a lot of people liked and was trying to get a hold of and use. He passed away.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if he had something going on at the time, but I know that several smaller creators were talking about the guy. And so, yeah, disappear for about 6 months.
Yeah.
Then disappeared for a year. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
White cat. Oh, shit. Well, that's not the one I've used, but yeah. Hey, do we want to show this picture here?
Oh,
Over this map?
Yeah, it's just a little kind of an inside joke.
Yeah.
This was,
pretty much.
All right. So again, I just kind of one day said, you know what, this whole situation reminds me of this. So I'm a fantasy medieval guy. Like all my stories are like this. So I'm like, you know what, I'm going to like do a map, like a medieval map, of the kingdoms, the kingdoms, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so again, I'm like, I have a big fucking evil looking wall that divides Marvel and DC from the free lands below, and so the free lands below that's the indie comics community. And so, there's your two fucking kingdoms. You got Comicsgate and the Rippaverse and the fucking river that divides the two. Yep. And then you have all these little like sections, counties, these little fucking islands floating out in the fucking water.
Yeah.
That's all the tribes, dude, because Comicsgate and Rippaverse are the two big tribes, groups, whatever you want to call
kingdoms, them. They're the two biggies.
But there's smaller little tribes, dude, little cliques. There's these little groups that are, they're on Comicsgate's side, but they kind of are doing their own thing, and it's a fucking mess. And the problem is everything is so confusing because this group is cool with them, but not necessarily them, and this group's cool with them, but not necessarily that. And so you're like, who the fuck, whose side am I on? And so that little island down there with the red dot, that's me. I'm like, I'm on a fucking island way down here, and I'm like seeing this shit going, I'm on Comicsgate's side, guys, but I'm not fucking, fighting your cause because it seems to be a little different than it was 4 or 5 years ago.
You're watching all the hell and mayhem going on, and it's like,
I'm an anti-SJW wokey guy. That's to me, I'm like, that's the fucking adversaries. That's the problem. And that's who I'm against. I'm not against Rippaverse. I'm not against whoever cliques or groups or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like I'm independent, man. Do whatever the fuck you want. Do your own thing. Exactly. But to me, the threat was the mainstream industry becoming woke and the trans agenda and all this shit, dude.
And not only that they were pushing this narrative of DEI and quote unquote inclusion and all this other stuff. Not only that, the product that they were putting out, these comics that they were coming out with to promote this shit, were unbelievably shitty drawings.
Yeah,
they were just, the art sucked ass.
The quality went down.
The quality went into the toilet.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what there was a couple, and people were just completely ruthless when they were reviewing these fucking things and showing the pictures and everything else. I mean, it was just complete dog shit what these companies were putting out to push the message. I mean, it's fucked. And then not only that, here you have other franchises and other medium, like, I don't know, cartoons, like fucking The Simpsons and fucking Family Guy and who the fuck else? All those franchises like South Park, all were getting dominated. Like, case in point, Simpsons.
Right.
They got rid of all the fucking voice actors that were worth the shit that had been with the company, with the franchise from the very fucking start when it was on Tracy Ullman's show in the mid 80s. They got rid of all the voices. One guy, it was Hank Azaria, was doing fucking like 5 or 6 different fucking characters, iconic characters.
Right.
Then they tried to get rid of a character altogether, not just the voice actor, but the whole character, Apu. Oh, it's stereotypical. Motherfucker was a linchpin to the whole fucking franchise. Okay. And then somebody was playing the Black Doctor, and oh shit, we can't have a white guy doing the voice of a Black Doctor.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, what the fuck? Hello, motherfuckers. Bart was voiced by a chick.
I know. Yeah.
Like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
But they were doing stuff like that. And that's the woke SJW, DEI fucking bullshit that's destroyed franchises.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just gotten to the point. And then, now, thank God South Park really hasn't bent the knee, but some of their shows have been banned. When they got picked up by, I think it was HBO, picked them up or something like that. There's like 4 of those episodes that they're never gonna fucking show.
Yeah. It's again, it's Elon Musk said it's the woke mind virus. It is. You can't argue that. It is a mind
virus. Yeah.
It's insane. We've seen it across the board for 10 fucking years, dude. And the proof is out there. We saw it during COVID. We see it during the elections. We see. I mean,
I did a fucking a stream back in, was it 2022?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was 21. There was a guy in my state, okay, a school district in Phoenix, Arizona. They had a retro faculty party. The theme was 1970s, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They hired a DJ for the music.
Right.
He's a black guy. He comes in, he's dressed up, like 70s. The big freaking like butterfly
like afro
shit.
Yeah.
Gold chains and shit, the big old bell-bottom pants and the freaking platform shoes.
Yeah.
And he wore a big old afro wig.
No.
The school district, now mind you, this is for the school district. This is for the teachers and faculty and administration.
Right.
One of these people in their DEI department got offended because they said he was in blackface.
Mm-hmm.
He's a fucking African American as the DJ, and all he did was he put a freaking wig on.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
This was nuts. And not only that, some other politician dumb shit chimed in, some local guy.
Right.
Well, they all got fucking crucified
for
coming down on this DJ guy who was hired for a 70s themed fucking deal. He's black, 70s, the afro was big time. I mean, holy fuck. Everybody in basketball was wearing these big, huge, fros and stuff like that. It was the thing, I mean, holy shit. If you watched any kind of shows like Sanford and Son or Good Times or anything like that, hello, that was the dress, that was the style, that was the thing that they were doing. They were militant. I mean, holy shit. You saw fucking back in the 70s, one of the biggest black martial artist guys, Jim Kelly, he had a big old freaking fro.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but it's stuff like that. This DEI shit has destroyed things.
Yeah.
And it's turned people dumb.
Yeah.
It's done.
Well, no, it's there, dude. It's a cult. It really is. It's a drone mindset. Like the ants, little drones. There's the queen, and then there's the fucking drones army, and they do whatever the fuck she tells them to do. That's you see it on Twitter. It's like, the wokies with the fucking mask on and I love Fauci pin and the Ukraine flag and now the China flag and all this. Yeah. And they're like telling the MAGA guy, you're brainwashed. And he's like, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, dude,
I saw that meme. It's like,
it's what? Fucked up. They're fucking insane people. They're mentally ill.
Well,
and it's just, that's how it is.
They're also called, the best term that I can remember and I know of is the term that Joseph Stalin said. They're useful idiots.
Yeah. Very.
They are useful idiots. Because like you said, now I'm having some problems over here. What the fuck's going on?
You're getting twitchy, but it comes and goes.
I'm getting kind of comes and goes. I don't know what the hell.
It could be an internet connection,
Yeah, I'm like looking at some of the stuff here and I'm like, huh. I know our internet went down a few days ago. This whole side of town, it was an issue, and so they had work crews out doing stuff. So, but yeah, so now my internet's getting bad. But yeah, it's kind of crazy, really crazy. Oh, Cotton in the chat says we all agree that liberals are being programmed we don't all agree about who does the program. Yeah, there's probably different freaking factions that are doing stuff, but they tend to and why. Yeah. All I do know is that when the USAID money got cut off from all these NGOs, all the Democrat motherfuckers got pissed.
Oh yeah. Well, everything's being exposed. And see, this is the end of the era. Like I said, 2014 is when woke became public mainstream, right? And 2024, we're starting to see it slide down. Now, again, I disagree with the people, because you see this on Twitter and shit, where, woke is dead, and we want, no, motherfuckers. There's half the fucking country was woke. Half the country voted for fucking whoever, Kamala and Biden. You know what I'm saying? It's not over. It's a long way from being over. It's.
I said that famous line from Stallone's movie. It's not over. It's never over.
From First Blood.
Yeah, no, nothing's over.
Dude, all you gotta do is go to Twitter. There's still tons of them, thousands, and there's tens of thousands. They're still pushing the agenda. It's just that they are starting to lose slowly. And it's because of politics, Trump and the administration, but also the average person is finally fucking waking up and seeing how fucking crazy these people are, how they're just mentally ill. They're nuts. There's something emotionally and psychologically wrong with wokies, period. It's just that simple. And people are starting to finally fucking get it, where half the country got it years ago, saying, what the fuck is up with this shit, And they're basically getting sick of it. And you're seeing it in movies and TV and games. It's the resistance now, the normal people is saying, fuck this, we're tired of this, So it's a long way from being over, but I think the wave is cresting, so to speak. Wow, you are really glitchy, dude.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to end it. So
we'll end it. That's cool. It's been over an hour.
Yeah. So I mean, I like this depiction we have up on the screen here of the two evil empires, and then you have everybody else at the bottom.
It's exaggerated. It's for fantasy, but you get what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's definitely amusing and funny.
Right.
It's more or less, it's almost reality too.
It's a tongue-in-cheek. There's a tongue-in-cheek truth to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna end this stream here, and I want to thank Kurt from AECENTRIC Comics for coming on and talking to us a little bit about this thing here. Please vote in the poll. I'm gonna close the poll out on my YouTube. It looks like we got 2 whole votes, and it's a split. It's a split decision. It was either a yes or no question, and so apparently, my browser says, I got a pop-up here saying my browser's lost connection to my camera.
Okay.
But we're still on.
I can still hear you.
Yeah. So anyway, the poll's a split decision. It was either yes or no. And the question was, do you think there is a civil war in indie comics? So it's a 50-50 yes or no. Okay. And I had 2 votes. So it's still a split. That's fine. And everything. So I want to thank everybody in the chat. I want to thank Decepticons Cave of Collectibles and Cotton for being here this morning in the chats with us. It's good to have you all in the chat, and I hope you enjoyed it. Also, over there on I'm on Rumble, so it's on Rumble right now too, and I always simulcast to my Rumble account of the same name, Wookie Fever Presents. So we're over there. I wish I had more followers over there, but it happens. It's a thing that happens. So again, thanks everybody for being on, and we will see you all next week, next Sunday, and actually next Saturday night too, on Cryptids and Conspiracies. Don't miss that show with my co-host Bunny, and we should have a good time because that's going to be on the Hindenburg. We're going to talk about the Hindenburg conspiracy.
That's cool.
It should be fun. And everything, and then again we'll be on Sunday morning again. I don't know who we'll have here, but maybe Kurt, if you're free, we can come on and talk about retail prices or some shit.
Let me know. Yeah, I take every week as a new week. I just go with the flow, man. So just get with me this week. Yeah,
I will. I'll hook up with you later in the week.
Cool.
I think hang out in the backstage.
Yeah.
So
I'll be here.
Great. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you. And have a great Easter. And
we all just want to party. Yes, yes, we don't care what we